generally speaking, the stock market is now 15%.
Well, I think the message was, when you read through the article, and there's been quite a few articles written by him, that the notion with technology, AI now, that the ability to be able to go 3.5 days a week will be just as productive as 5. I think we're a long way away from that, and my view in my mind is, well, how productive with AI and the technology, if we work 5 days, can we produce 9 days of production in 5? They're going the other way. I don't think, and particularly I don't know whether that's a good thing for Australia's culture, because I think Australia are probably one of the lazier nations. Not so, opposed to someone like Singapore or Asia, where they just seem to work and have maybe 2 days off a year, where we have 9 weeks. So I think it's been lost, put out of context a bit. I think that the 3.5 days for the improvement, and that's what it's saying. I think that's what he's viewing is that it's been lost, I think, on Instagram and social media about, well, isn't this great? We can do 5 days of production, 3.5, because of technology, and that'll be great for family and people. Where I think we should be testing, as I said the other way, how much more can we do within the 5, and then one day, the ability with technology is so advanced where we might be able to dial back, but I think we need to go the other way first. I think we need to see what in 5 days can we achieve 9 or 10 days of production inside of 5, and then can we do 10 days of production then maybe in 4 days. But this whole thing of relaxing now, and I think that it's just got out of proportion. It's way too early. The impact of AI and the benefits of AI, I think, we won't see for the real outcome of that for 5 to 10 years. I don't think that'll be something that's going to happen in 12 months. I think a lot of it gets distorted. I just think that the way that we're talking now is that, well, artificial intelligence, if you took it to the extreme, is that the view is there'll be no need in certain vocations and certain companies and certain occupations, that there'll be no need for any humans at all. That's evident that is happening now. I think there is way more of a threat. What we should be talking about is, how do we replace and think about the extinction or vocations and jobs that become irrelevant. Now, in my world, at legal and accounting and funds management, I would say accounting has got to be one of the biggest threats in white collar in the next 2 to 3 years. Now that's in my world, and there's plenty of others that if I had a pad and pen, I could probably come up with maybe 40 different vocations that will be eradicated through AI. And yet they're writing articles that, we should be able to have 1.5 days and have 3.5 days work because AI will do so much more for us. So that's, I think more of we should be focusing on what are the threats. That's my view. The macro view of everything, and we talked about the global markets being overvalued, and they still are. But the reality is what will come out of this AI, my view, trying to think, and you get paid to think about the future, or at least understand and forecast fairly accurately. What you'll see to maintain profitability and improve and increase productivity and efficiency in companies will be the eradication of people. The biggest killer in business, the biggest cost, is human labour. And then administration and productivity, and then a third is left for the profit. So it's usually a third. as these companies grow now, these unbelievable multiples, and there'll be some that are now just warming up. I think the future is going to be the only way to maintain that. Imagine if you said to, when Tesla, for example, and Amazon, a good case in point, but to maintain a company that's trading at 50% above its multiple, or 100 times, like twice the valuation, what happens if you wake up one day and say, well, I know you didn't believe me that we're trading at twice the multiple, but we've now got a new innovation where we've just stripped out 23% of our human intervention. And that saves us now $4.7 billion in wages, and that's worth 25 times on the stock exchange. So the shareholders now benefit from that. Now, when I talk about 4.5 to 4.8 billion, that number is the number that the Australian government, the ATO's wage cost to the taxpayer is shy of $5 billion. What happens to technology in governments in those areas? So it's endless. So I think there's going to be a lot of good with companies to be able to be more profitable and efficient. But there's also going to be a lot of other areas of labour that will be eradicated. I don't believe that governments have got a grip on this AI. I think they are scrambling and trying to understand what digital currency, Ethereum, Bitcoin, what AI will do to the world. And the only way is they're going to have to bring in regulations and policies to control it. There has to be, that's a very good point you bring up about loss of wages, payroll tax, SGC, fringe benefits tax. What AI does now, that means that that revenue, and I'll run the figures on that, but you know that figure, if we catapult it to say 2030, that you know there's probably $150 billion potential hole in 5 years the way AI is moving. Where does that money come from to replace the government revenue, both from federal and state? So where does that come from? Well, right now, I'd say to someone who's starting in business, if I started today and if I got bought out and everything and said, you're right, you've got to start again, I got bought out by a major company, and I started again knowing what I know now, and it was some form of distribution, investment banking, whatever it may be. I need 5 to 8 people to create a $100 billion business, knowing what I know. Going back 30 years ago, you needed 400. So what I'm doing now is the heavy lifting of real estate development and residential. That doesn't work now because the government got too heavy with taxes. We're in a digital world now, and people are still thinking in an analogue way. And so you're right what you say. It's a big problem for governments, but it's a big problem for people to think about the paranoid will survive, as we've always said. Good points.